Okay guys, just got back from watching the movie Battleship, and I have to say it was much better than I expected it to be. Man, Hasbro really shelled out the big bucks from all that board game money, I guess, because holy crap, they spent a lot of money on this movie. I think it was like $200 million, and it was just a huge budget for this thing. And it was a really good movie that was helped a lot by the budget. Some of the acting wasn't the best, but I think because of the budget, it really helped make this movie with some great action. The aliens and all that type of stuff looked great. So I have to say that really helped it out. Rihanna, who I wasn't sure how she was going to be, I thought, she doesn't really have any experience. But she was actually okay. I just don't understand, is there like a shortage of actors and actresses I don't know about where they have to keep putting in like R&B singers or rappers in movies? Like, why do they keep doing this? But I thought she did an okay job too. So, I guess overall, before I get into the spoilers, I have to say that I do recommend this movie. I think it's good. It's a fun action movie you don't really have to think about. You can just go watch it and have a good time. And like I said, it has a lot of really cool action scenes, so it's definitely worth checking out. Now, on to the spoilers. So, it says in 2005, we get a beacon that we sent out into space because we find some kind of planet that's just like Earth. So we send out a message to them, and eventually they respond. And that's the alien invasion. It shows this guy, Hopper. He's kind of a screw-up. His older brother wants him to, straighten his life out. He doesn't really think, he just acts. He meets a girl at a bar, and he goes and breaks into a convenience store just to steal her a chicken burrito. So you have some stuff like that, setting him up as kind of this, really brave guy who's willing to do anything. And his brother gets him a job in the Navy. He has him join with him. He becomes a lieutenant. And then we find out that girl, her dad is Liam Neeson, who's like the Army commander of the Navy, Admiral, I guess. And he's actually not in this movie very much. Liam Neeson has kind of a small role. But he's still pretty good in his role as Admiral. And they go out, they're doing some type of thing, I can't remember what they called it, but it's kind of like war games with the Navy. They got America and Japan, and I think some other countries are involved. But it's mostly America and Japan. So they have this thing where it's like war games, and they're out there, but then the aliens start attacking. The ships land in the ocean, so they think maybe this is just another drill, but it's not. And they go out to investigate, and they find out that it's this big ship. However, the aliens only attack when they're attacked. I'm not really sure what they wanted. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff that happens here, so I'm going off of memory. So I'm trying to remember everything and say it in a way that it makes sense. But, so the aliens send out these big ships. They have this fight. The only stuff that's related to the board game Battleship is the aliens' missiles. Look like the little pegs you stick in the ship in the game. And at one point in the movie they do this grid sequence where they're trying to find the aliens and they're doing the hit or miss thing. That's really the only part that's like Battleship at all. The rest of it's just a crazy movie about aliens. But eventually they start fighting the aliens. Hopper's girlfriend is working with physical therapy patients, and she's out hiking a mountain. All of this takes place in Hawaii, and she's with a guy who has no legs. He's got metal legs, and they start to run into trouble with the aliens. The aliens attack in 3 waves. They have the big ships. They have this one thing that's like a beacon that puts them all in this bubble that it's using to stop all like radio transmissions. And then they have these little like spinning wheel things that go out and just tear through everything. And then they have soldiers. Now the aliens themselves look kind of normal. They're wearing like Halo outfits from the video game. But when they take the mask off, They look just like people, except they have lizard eyes, they have a weakness to sunlight, and they have like these quills for a goatee, kind of like a porcupine. And their hands are kind of weird. But other than that, they're not like crazy, bizarre aliens or anything. So they start fighting back against the aliens. They have no idea what's going on. Hopper's brother, who got him the job, of course he dies. I could see that coming a mile away, with him being the responsible one. And also there's like a little romantic story where Hopper wants to ask the Admiral his permission to marry his daughter. It's kind of like a theme in the beginning. But anyways, they fight the aliens. They go back and forth. They do the grid sequence where they do the hit or miss like the board game. And then eventually their ships get destroyed. They realize that the aliens are trying to signal back home to send more ships for backup, so they have to stop them. They have like 4 hours to stop them from sending the transmission. So they go and they get all their ships destroyed, and they have to take this old battleship from like World War II. Now they go on board and they're talking about how it runs on steam. They don't know how to use it. They don't have anybody on the ship who can help them. And then they see these World War II veterans. Because early on in the movie they were giving medals away, and some World War II guys were present for this ceremony. And here they are on this ship, which is essentially a museum now. And they're on the ship talking about how they can't use it. It runs on steam and stuff. And all these war veterans just come out of nowhere. Why the hell were they all on this ship? Like, seriously, they all start walking out, and then at the top deck, there's some more of them up there. And I'm like, well, okay, I can understand maybe they're there on the museum just talking, but then why the hell were some at the very top? That didn't make any sense. So they decide they're going to use their boat to make one last run against the aliens, and then they just start knocking shit over in the museum, like for no reason at all. It wasn't really necessary. But anyways, they do fight the aliens. They knock them off, of course, and then they stop the last ship, which takes down the big bubble, so the rest of the Army and the Navy can get in with the Air Force. They start destroying all the aliens, and they stop them from sending the transmission to make it back home. So that was it, really. At the end, they all get medals for their service, and he gets permission to marry the guy's daughter, kind of. He doesn't really. He says we'll talk about it. But yeah, that was it. Battleship. The first thing I was thinking is, do they not think the aliens are coming back? Like, if we were able to find a planet that was just like Earth, and they have all this technology, don't you think they would have already known about us? And let's say the other ship just found us. Well, why was it full of all these warships? But even if you say that's okay, and that they found us and they had warships, the other planet they are from would still realize that these guys never came back, and they would know what vicinity they were in. So they could easily find us. So any way you look at it, the aliens would return with way more firepower. So Earth would still be screwed. That's just something I was thinking at the end of the movie. But this movie, it could be hit or miss, pun intended, because it does have some bad acting, and some people may think the story's a little bit cheesy, but I have to say, going into this movie about a board game, or at least inspired by a board game, it was much, much better than I expected it to be. And if you go into it just thinking, hey, it's going to be a fun, entertaining movie, you don't got to think about it too much, then you should go see this. I recommend this movie because I think it is a fun, summer-type movie to go see. So that's it, guys. That is my review of Battleship. I hope you guys liked the review. Leave your thoughts on it in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I will be back next weekend to do Men in Black 3 and the Chernobyl Diaries. So, hope you guys can check those videos out too. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.